Let's get one thing straight immediately, squaddies. Even Harry was seeking damages. So what? If someone subjected you to years of intrusion, illegal surveillance, phone hacking, manufactured lies, character assassination and psychological harm, you would absolutely want compensation too. That's not greed. That's a basic human response to being wronged. Nobody with a functioning sense of justice would smile politely, shrug their shoulders and say, "Oh well," while the people who harmed them walk away untouched and unchallenged. You'd want acknowledgement. You'd want consequences. You'd want the system itself to confirm that what happened to you was real, was wrong, and should never have happened in the first place. Anyone pretending otherwise is either lying to themselves or arguing in bad faith. But this is where the conversation gets deliberately warped by unserious commentators, trolls and bad actors who rely on short attention spans and selective outrage. Because this was for Harry. Money is the smallest, least interesting, least motivating part of this entire saga. What Harry wants, and what any person who has been deeply harmed would want, is for the media to be forced to be exposed, to be formally held responsible, to not simply get away with it like they always do. This is about validation. This is about justice. This is about refusing to let a powerful system continue to harm people without consequence. Let's talk about something fundamental that the media hopes people won't think too hard about. Accountability is a human need. When harm is done to you, real harm, you don't just want to move on as if nothing happened. You want acknowledgement. You want confirmation that you weren't imagining it, that you weren't being dramatic, that you weren't too sensitive, and that you didn't somehow deserve it. Courts matter because they officially say that validation matters psychologically, emotionally, and morally. It tells victims that reality still exists and that power doesn't automatically erase truth. That's why the suggestion that Harry should just take the money and shut up is so deeply offensive. Because silence doesn't bring closure, it protects abusers. Silence protects powerful institutions. Silence allows the same tactics to be used again and again on the next person and the next person after that. Wanting accountability is not a flaw or a vendetta. It is the most normal reaction in the world. And the reason the press despises Harry for this is simple. He refuses to play the role of the quiet, grateful victim who disappears once paid off. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. If Harry's primary motivation were money, this entire situation would have been quick, quiet, and incredibly profitable. A discreet settlement, a massive check, a rock-solid NDA, no testimony, no scrutiny, no stress, no character attacks, walk away richer and move on with life. That option was not hypothetical. It was right there on the table, and it would have been far more lucrative than what he's doing now. But Harry rejected that route. Instead, he chose the hardest possible path. Public court cases, sworn testimony, invasive questioning, media backlash, coordinated smears, and years of being painted as unstable and vindictive. He chose that path specifically to force the media to answer for itself in the open. That is not the behavior of someone chasing a payout. That is the behavior of someone choosing principle over profit, even when it costs him personally. He is quite literally choosing less money in exchange for more accountability. And that single fact completely destroys the lazy narrative that this is about greed. Here's the part people really need to sit with. Hush money doesn't deliver justice. It buries it. Secret settlements allow media companies to write a check, slap on a confidentiality agreement, and carry on exactly as they always have. There's no admission of wrongdoing, no public reckoning, no institutional learning, no deterrent, just business as usual while the victim is silenced and the public remains in the dark. This system protects the powerful and abandons the harmed. It ensures the public never learns what really happened and guarantees future victims walk into the same trap blind. That's why media corporations love private deals so much. Money is cheaper than accountability, and silence is safer than truth. And this is exactly why Harry refusing to play along is such a threat. He's not just asking for compensation, he's disrupting a system built on secrecy. Now, before the usual derangers start foaming at the mouth, let's remind everyone of a very inconvenient fact they desperately want buried. Prince William reportedly entered into with the media over phone hacking, said to be around. No public trial, no exposure, no accountability, no media organisations being put on blast, just a check and silence. That was not justice, that was hush money. It allowed the press to escape public scrutiny entirely and continue operating without consequences. It kept everything neatly hidden and off the record, and yet somehow the same people who scream that Harry is greedy, bitter or money-hungry have absolutely nothing to say about. The selective outrage is almost impressive in its shamelessness. So, if we're talking about a prince who just wanted the money, there's your example. And it's not Harry. The contrast could not be clearer if it were written in neon lights. One brother accepted a confidential payout that protected the media and avoided exposure. The other rejected silence and dragged the entire operation into open court. One chose comfort and discretion, the other chose confrontation and transparency. One took the money and let the system continue unchanged. The other said, "That tells you everything about priorities." Harry is willing to lose financially if it means forcing accountability. He is willing to endure relentless attacks if it means setting a precedent. He is willing to be smeared if it means these institutions can't quietly buy their way out of wrongdoing ever again. That's not weakness. That's backbone. This goes far beyond one royal or one family dispute. Public trials matter because they protect everyone. When powerful institutions are forced to answer in public, patterns of abuse are exposed, tactics are documented, and the rot in the system becomes visible. Transparency doesn't just serve the victim, it serves the public. It tells future victims that silence is not the only option, and that power does not always get the final word. When you refuse hush money, you're not just standing up for yourself. You're breaking a cycle. You're making it harder for the same harm to happen again. And that is precisely why the media is furious. Because Harry isn't just a problem for them. He's a precedent. So let's put this nonsense to bed once and for all. Harry isn't chasing money. He's chasing accountability. He isn't bitter. He's principled. He isn't reckless. He's refusing to be silenced. And if people want to talk about greed, secrecy, and letting the press get away with wrongdoing, they'd better be brave enough to talk about brothers. One took hush money, one chose justice, and history will remember the difference.